International and Chimobi Walter Naji. Now, let's take the headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari promises his administration's support for investments that will create employment opportunities. As World marks International Peace Day, United Nations advocates unity of purpose in fight against COVID-19. ECOWAS to review its framework for Vision 2050. And we start with President Muhammadu Buhari, who says if the global community is to achieve the United Nations its needs and build a desired future for all, the Security Council must be reformed and global approach adopted to tackle all negative developments, especially the COVID-19 pandemic. The president stated this while addressing the high-level virtual meeting to commemorate the 75th annual anniversary of the United Nations. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Today's celebration is a remarkable milestone in the history of the United Nations.
For 7.5 decades, President Muhammadu Buhari said the United Nations has remained true to the aspirations of its founding fathers, growing in membership and scope to reflect contemporary global trends, as well as playing a crucial role in fostering peace and security. Lives have been saved and improved, rights of the vulnerable defended, while collective actions taken to invest in conflict resolution and peacekeeping, shelter refugees, and foster development.
As an active member of the organization, Nigeria has contributed human, financial, and material resources to several United Nations peacekeeping operations. We have also provided humanitarian aid to refugees and displaced persons, helped countries in tackling diseases such as Ebola, and extended both human and financial resources as technical aid to other countries. In addition, we have served on 5 occasions as non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council and contributed significantly to the promotion of international peace and security.
President Buhari is, however, worried that in spite of the progress made, the world is still faced with complex challenges, and efforts towards addressing impediments for the attainment of Agenda 2030 for sustainable development were undermined by the COVID-19 pandemic.
The inward-looking tendencies exhibited by member states in the wake of the pandemic have particularly revealed an urgent need for us to strengthen international cooperation, unity, and solidarity to address all negative developments and search for possible solutions, including an effective vaccine. We implore nations to adopt a global approach in addressing the global health emergency in a bid to build the future we want.
The Nigerian leader also emphasized the imperative of a fair and equitable representation in the Security Council towards achieving the desired United Nations.
The demand for the reform of the United Nations Security Council is just, and a place for Africa in the very strategic organ of the organization is long overdue. It is my hope that this anniversary will encourage us to respond to numerous challenges we face and support efforts aimed at building the United Nations system we desire.
While reiterating Nigeria's commitment to multilateralism and a rules-based international system, President Buhari said his country will sustain efforts at upholding the principles of human rights, peace and security, as well as democratic governance towards rebuilding the United Nations of everyone's dream. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Now, the entire world is expected to be devoted to 24 hours of non-violence and ceasefire by strengthening ideals of peace on the 21st of September every year, declared as the International Day of Peace by the United Nations. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday reports that the United Nations is also calling on every individual to be involved to fight coronavirus that has thrown the entire world into turmoil.
This is the new Kuchigoro self-established displaced persons camp, home to about 2,000 people displaced in the northeast region of Nigeria as a result of insurgency occasioned by the activities of the Boko Haram. After about 10 years of conflict, the camp has become home to this lucky set of people who fled to the nation's capital.
I choose peace instead of violence. 100% of my choice, and I want to return home. Government is doing enough. We are appreciating his effort towards fighting this Boko Haram.
Their offsprings know no other home but this camp, where they are being taught in this makeshift classroom. Nigeria is not the only country with this challenge. The International Day of Peace was set aside in 1981 by the United Nations General Assembly, designated as a period of non-violence and ceasefire.
Violence will always break out. It's just a matter of time. So we need to build non-violent peace, that is inclusive of everybody, that takes the yearnings, aspirations of all the parties together, so that we can have a country that is united, cohesive, and resilient, against any form of odds that we'll face.
For the United Nations, it is now clearer than ever before that the common enemy of mankind is the ravaging coronavirus, which threatens health, security, and people's way of life.
We need to silence the guns and focus on our common enemy, the virus.
During the day and beyond, the United Nations expects all nations and people to honor cessation of hostilities and commemorate the day through education by shaping peace together. How to stop the proliferation of arms that has been a major challenge is also the focus of discourse at this forum put together by the West Africa Action Network on Small Arms.
The dialogue should identify ways to further amplify women's contribution to the community, as well as peace and security.
It was also an opportunity for the group to launch a gender and domestic violence awareness calendar with a red card to rape and rapists.
The Nigerian Television Authority remains committed, and it will continue to expose and to fight this crime.
Abuse. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
All right, thank you very much, Adebola, for that report. Now, to speak more on the importance of International Day of Peace is the country rep, Global Peace Foundation Nigeria, John Joseph Hayab. Many thanks for joining us on the news tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we'll move. The International Day of Peace 2020 has a theme, Shaping Peace Together. Now, what is the central message to be taken from the day, considering the diverse conflict in our world today, including Nigeria, of course?
Yeah, the theme for this year is Shaping Peace Together. There are very two important words here, shaping together, because peace is in the middle. All peace workers know that one of the key challenges we face in peace work is the division, the lack of inclusiveness in our effort to bring about peace. Sometimes we go to communities, we want to preach peace, we are thinking that there are some people who are more important than others. We neglect another group of people. One group that we know, or two groups that we know are mostly neglected are the women and the youth. Most time you see us accusing the youth or accusing young people for being in the forefront of violence. But when we want to meet to discuss the issue of peace, the issue of reconciliation, the issue of restoration, the issue of forgiveness, we sometimes think that they are children. And especially in the African countries where we like to see younger people as they have no ideas. And we think also women have no ideas.
Okay.
The United Nations is encouraging us to find a way of shaping peace together, not excluding anybody.
Okay. I'd like to ask this question. Are there political and not political actors working for peace in Nigeria in the face of unresolved conflicts in many communities in the country?
Of course, the Global Peace Foundation that I represent is one non-political, non-partisan group that is working in the areas of peace. We preach the ideals of one family under God. We believe that human beings are members of one extreme family, whether they are Christians, whether they are Muslims, whether they come from the north or they come from the south, whether they are black or white, whether they are from Asia or Europe or African. Human beings come from the same family. And we take this message strongly from our religious book. From the Christian book, the Bible says God created man and woman, and the first man God created is Adam and Eve. And the account of creation in the Quran also agree that the first man God created is Adam and Eve. And even the account of creation in the Torah, that's the Jewish holy book. So we find that human beings are members of one family. And we must begin to relate as members of this human extreme family, thinking together, working together to bring about the desired peace that our community wants to see.
Okay. We want to thank you very much, the country rep, Global Peace Foundation Nigeria, John Joseph Hayab, for being with us on the news tonight.
Thank you.
And moving on now, President Muhammadu Buhari says the federal government will continue to support genuine efforts at attracting job-creating investments, especially at the sub-national levels, which he believes can do much more towards driving human capital development and expanding economic opportunities. Now, this was in his virtual address to the 5th Kaduna State Economic and Investment Summit, which begins today in Kaduna State. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the more.
5.0, as the two-day event is called, focuses on infrastructure, industrialization and innovation. President Muhammadu Buhari described as a fitting statement of resilience that Kaduna State government is able to host this year's edition amidst the severe disruptions to normal order caused by COVID-19. This sort of determined focus, he said, can help the country to navigate the challenging consequences of the pandemic.
I wish to commend the efforts of the Kaduna State government to establish its credentials as one of the new investment destinations of choice in Nigeria. These efforts have received just recognition in the response of the business community, which has put in new investments in the state. This is a further affirmation of the ranking of the state as #1 for ease of doing business by the World Bank's Doing Business Report 2018. I call on the Kaduna State government to keep up these laudable efforts and surpass the impressive results already attained.
Noting with delight the massive investments in infrastructure upgrade being executed by the El Rufai administration through the urban renewal programs, the president expressed the belief that the success of state governments in attracting investments, creating jobs and increasing their internally generated revenues is critical to the success of the entire country.
I have no doubt that Kaduna State government and its private sector partners will take full advantage of the economic windows that are being opened by federal government investment, such as Ajakuta, Kaduna, Kano gas pipeline. The state government should afford full cooperation and support to cross-border federal projects such as the Ajakuta, Kaduna, Kano pipeline and the Abuja, Kaduna, Zaria, Kano highway.
President Buhari used the opportunity to appeal to the people of Kaduna to cooperate with the state government and security agencies towards securing peace and harmony in the state, saying, without living together as brothers and sisters in peace, development cannot take place. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
All right, you're still watching the news on NTA International. We'll take a break now. More news when we return. Stay with us.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you. In your living room, office, and everywhere, anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs, and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview channel 264, or live streaming via www.visiontv.co.uk. Application for iOS or Android. Intelsat 901/332.5 degrees east. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
All right, glad to have you back with us on the news. Now, the need to fast-track the ratification process for the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement signed by Nigerian government on the 7th of July 2019 has again come to the fore. Now, this formed part of discussions during a 3-day official visit of the Secretary General, AFCFTA Secretariat, Wankele Mene, to Nigeria. The report. Tackling the problems of transshipment of products through the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, creating jobs through value chain development in manufacturing, and fast-tracking conflict resolution around the region are areas of interest for the Secretariat in its bid to ensure the success of the Intra-African Trade Agreement to effectively increase the 1.5% trade among African countries to over 50%.
We are at a point where we will soon take a memo to the Federal Executive Council for approval for ratification, and we're very hopeful that we'll get it sorted out much sooner before the official date of the takeoff of the agreement.
I have already started engaging with 3 of the world's top automobile makers, who very much are looking forward to when we will conclude the rules of origin negotiations, so that they can consider to move the production of their components from South Asia to Africa. This is what we want. We want this agreement to be at the center of industrial development in Africa, to leverage industrial development in Africa, establish centers of manufacturing excellence across the African continent.
Earlier, while visiting the Nigerian Office for Trade Negotiation, the issues relating to keying into the 4th Industrial Revolution, the Internet of Things, trade remedies, and fostering mutual purpose in its success topped the agenda. Out of 55 countries, 54 have signed the agreement, while 28 countries have ratified it, as the continent looks forward to the takeoff of the agreement in 2021. Now, programs and activities within the framework of the ECOWAS Vision 2050 being finalized will now be adjusted to accommodate changes brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic to enable member countries cope more effectively with future shocks. Now, the chairperson of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Governments and President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, who visited the ECOWAS Commission in Abuja, says this is now a priority. Kelvin Ewunoye reports.
This is the first visit to the ECOWAS Commission headquarters in Abuja since its election in September 7th in Niamey, Niger Republic, as chair of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government. President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo wants to see the level of implementation of various ECOWAS programs and projects, evaluate them along with the heads of ECOWAS institutions to give impetus to his own agenda anchored on issues like tackling rising terrorism in the region, strengthening response to COVID-19, free trade and consolidation of democracy.
I congratulate His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the ECOWAS champion on the fight against COVID-19, for the successes recorded under his supervision. ECOWAS should take a lead role in the deliberations to produce an indigenous or African vaccine to combat the virus.
The president of ECOWAS Commission, Jean-Claude Cassibrau, was optimistic that despite the challenges posed by COVID-19, the various institutions of the Commission won't lose too much grounds in realizing their mandates.
Please be assured work with you to address the challenges ahead. We are at your disposal to make sure the success of the agenda is closer to you by years.
President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo will lead the regional body for the next 1 year, during which issues of greater economic integration and monetary union are expected to feature prominently in his engagements. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
Now, the federal government has initiated moves that is targeted at turning Nigeria into a media and entertainment hub. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed disclosed this at the inauguration of a steering committee for commercialization of the Nigerian Film Corporation, Abuja. Anthony Forson tells us more.
Standing as the frontline film agency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it was established in 1979 by Decree No. 60 and currently a parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. The Enabling Act under which the agency operates empowers it to lay a solid foundation for the development of a viable and sustainable film industry and cinema culture in the country. With the move to make it viable, the Information and Culture Minister, who is chairing the steering committee, said the idea to commercialize the Nigerian Film Corporation wouldn't have come at a better time than now, understanding the contribution of Nollywood to the nation's economy, despite it being private sector driven.
There's no gainsaying that the industry, the film industry, is the second largest employer of labor, according to the IMF. Now, according to the IMF, in 2015, it contributed about 893 billion naira to the GDP. I think this underscores the importance of what we are doing today.
With Nigeria's population advantage, the minister said it will be applauded if state governments join in putting in place infrastructure that will help the creative industry to thrive.
I don't think it will be too much for the state governments to ensure they build at least one cinema houses in each local government area of their states. That will give us an additional 774 cinema houses. In India, 14 million people attend cinema every day. And you can imagine the sheer number, the impact it will have in the economy.
On his part, the Director General of the Bureau of Public Enterprise, Alex Oko, made it clear that the reform is not in any way to privatize the agency.
It's important to make that distinction because in a commercialization reform process, there is no transfer of ownership, there is no sale of shares, there is no privatization of the entity. It is basically to ensure that the resident value in such an enterprise is actually enhanced and practices such that will ensure the commercial viability of that particular enterprise are brought to play.
Already, Alex Oko said a project inauguration team which was put in place has commenced work. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Now, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the executive arm of government is ready to support the youth to influence the outcome of the hate speech bill before the National Assembly in the interest of the people. While engaging the All Progressives Congress social media operators at a virtual meeting held at the party's National Secretariat, the Vice President assured that government will not relent in expanding and sustaining youth-friendly projects, including media platforms that will add value to the society. Salih Abdullahi reports.
Nigeria, like other developing nations, has a variety of media technology through which information gets to the people. Apart from the conventional media like television, radio, digital media services are among others used in dissemination of information. This group of young Nigerians are social media influencers working for the All Progressives Congress.
I think that it is possible. We have quite a few initiatives for small businesses And I think that these kind of media platforms are also small businesses, and they can benefit. Which is why I think, at least as far as this group is concerned, a centrally organized group can take the advantage or the benefit of some of these resources that may be available to encourage the small businesses around the media.
If there had been a sense that government had not done as much as it should have, the time to abandon the ship is not now. Because if you do so, you don't even know who will come and take over.
This interface with the party's leadership is an opportunity to review performances and renew commitment.
Now, in doing that, I don't think it is only fair for us to be doing elite reconciliation. What about the people who are actually the foot soldiers that nobody sees them within the radar, on whose back and shoulders the party has rolled in 2015 and 2019? And part of that critical constituency is the social media constituency.
The social media has completely shrunk the world and has in the process become a great weapon for eradicating ignorance and becoming a democratic ideals.
APC Caretaker and Extraordinary National Convention Planning Committee has promised to sustain this gesture in the interest of the party. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Let's now turn our attention to COVID-19 matters, as the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has stressed the need for caution and compliance with the COVID-19 protocols as schools reopen to prevent a surge in cases. The chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, gave the advice in Abuja. Boss Mustafa noted that the global statistics of 1 million COVID-19 cases in 4 days calls for vigilance among Nigerians. The task force pointed out that people are still getting infected and dying from COVID-19. The relaxation of COVID-19 restrictions should be accompanied by greater adherence to non-pharmaceutical guidelines. In the meantime, WHO approves protocols for phase 3 clinical trials for COVID-19 herbal medicine, and more restrictions expected in Europe as coronavirus spreads rapidly and rattles markets. It's on that note that we come to the end of the news on NTA International. We want to thank you very much for being with us. Remember, you can be a star when you join NTA and stand against rape and rapists. I'm Chimobi Walter Naji. Good evening.